We will create a module for our slider. This module needs to have a link in our configuration page. So let's rename test item to my slider. Change path to admin/config/media/my slider setting. Remove option main menu because we are adding item to different place. And also change access control to access administration page because we want to give ability to change our slider only for users with role administrator. Now clear cache. Then click on configuration from toolbar. You should see my slider in section media because every item in there has a path starting with admin/config/media. Now, let's create a form with text box where we can store path of image. First, what you need to do is to change callback function. Change it to Drupal_get_form. This is not function to be created. This is already an existing Drupal.com function and you can see documentation of it on api.drupal.org. Here you can find example for function Drupal_get_form if you search for underscore menu. You can see array of arguments passing into callback. We are passing one argument which is ID of our form which needs function Drupal_get_form for creation. Now you need to create function with name of this ID and it will have two parameters, form and form state. So whole implementation looks like this. In our new function render_my_slider_form, let's use DSM function for debugging and pass a parameter form state into it. If you have everything set OK in section configuration media my slider, you will see array with 14 items. Now we are able to create form. Go to api.drupal.org and on bottom of this page you will see link Form API reference. Click on it and you will see a lot of information. This documentation is really good and there are lots of examples. Find text field in table and take a look how you can render text field for our slider path. Copy sample into our function render_my_slider_form. Change default value because we don't have access to node title. And at the end of function, return our variable form and save file. Refresh slider configuration page. Code for text field is pretty self-explanatory, so I believe that I don't need to go over it. Just for your information, function T represents options for translatable text. So if we use more languages in Drupal, we can use it. So everything you would like to translate, wrap it into this function. Let's add two more text fields and remove some settings which we don't need right now. Default value, max length, size, and required. We also need a button to store values from our form. Search on Form API page implementation of Submit button. Copy and paste example on the text boxes, save file, and refresh configuration page. For Submit button, we need a function to handle click event. Name of this function is the same as form ID plus text underscore submit. This function has the same two parameters, form and form state. Let's again use DSM function to test it and for now pass into it form variable. After you click on the button, you will see array with items, and on top of this array are our 3 added fields and 1 button. We have 3 options where we can store our data. Into our own table in database, but for such little information there is no need to create it. Into text file, but it is not practical for this kind of setting. Or we can store them into Drupal core table variable, which already exists. We will do it with third option. For this table, Drupal has 2 methods, variables underscore set and variable underscore get. Let's say that our variables will be my underscore slider underscore 1, 2 and 3. Comment DSM function with sharp mark and use these lines in submit function. You can also use notification with Drupal core message function which give us some information after click on submit button. After storing variables, you can find them in our DB. Use phpMyAdmin to see table variable. We would like to see our items after saving in appropriate fields, and for this purpose we will use in text field property default value and function variable get. And that's it. We created our own Drupal module which will store paths of images into table variable for our slider. In next lesson we will learn how to create own Drupal theme, and in there we will use again function variable get to read paths for our slider.